Morning, everybody. Thanks for joining me for the Daily Recovery Snack. Tuesday, February 3rd, 2026. And we're finally starting to thaw out in Southwest Virginia. Thank goodness. Hope everybody's well today. First things first, I owe y'all an apology. I had scheduled to do a dedicated subject video on grief and loss as a request from a viewer, and I dropped the ball. I did not get that done. Apologize. I was trying to get it done this weekend. Didn't get it done. Is what it is. Hadn't forgot about it. The weather presented some obstacles and time frames I wasn't looking at, and so still upcoming, probably closer to this weekend, if not the weekend. But we're going to get it in, and I think I'm going to break it up into two videos: grief and loss in one, and then kind of my a little bit of my journey with instances of grief and loss in my life. And anyway, that's that. Let's dive in. 24 hours a day, Hazleton. February 3rd, AA thought for the day. By drinking, we escaped from boredom for a while. We almost forgot our troubles. But when we sobered up, our troubles were twice as bad. Drinking had only made them worse. In AA, we really escaped boredom. Nobody's bored at an AA meeting. We stick around after it's over and we hate to leave. Drinking gave us a temporary feeling of importance. When we're drinking, we kid ourselves into thinking we are somebody. We tell tall stories to build ourselves up. In AA, we don't want that kind of self-importance. We have real self-respect and honesty and humility. Question: have I found something much better and more satisfactory than drinking? Meditation for the day. I believe that my faith and God's power can accomplish anything in human relationships. There is no limit to what these two things can do in this field. Only believe and anything can happen. St. Paul said, "I can do all things through him who strengthened me." All walls that divide you from other human beings can fall by your faith in God's power. These are two essentials. Everyone can be moved by these. Prayer for the day. I pray that I may strengthen my faith day by day. I pray that I may rely more and more on God's power. So for me, immediately the escape from boredom for a while. Maybe so during the early days of my drinking or whatever, but more so the second sentence. We almost forgot about our troubles. When my drinking and drugging became problematic, it was essential to escape from the troubles. And I definitely like the way that I feel when I had those substances in my body, because it removed the reality of the situation or situations that I had put myself in. It says drinking had only made things worse. Again, when I was a kid, I had a blast. That's true. Got into a little bit of trouble. Addiction for me, and from what I've understood and learned during the journey, is that it starts how it starts for most of us: the drinking and the drug and the marijuana, the stuff that, not the hard drugs, but it starts where it starts, to where, you have a lot of fun, and then, maybe a lot of fun with a little trouble. And then you start to get into trouble a little bit. And before it's over with, it's nothing but trouble. You start showing up in jails, institutions, emergency rooms, doctor's offices, health issues, and things like that. My drinking and drugging, after it became more medicinal and problematic, never made anything better. It felt like it did. But I cue that up to being medicinally addicted, and also habits. It's amazing what my species can get ourselves used to if we do it repetitively enough. There's a lot of crazy things out there that doesn't have anything to do with alcohol and drugs per se, that are still kind of obscure in its niche, to where a lot of people look at it and say, wow, that's dangerous, or that's irresponsible, or whatever the case may be. But normal is normal to the individual. My addiction, my run of drinking and drugging and all that stuff was relative to me. I could make it normal in my head, although I was suspect for a long time that you know, things weren't that normal, and I was going to have to deal with it one day. It talks about in here about the there's no limit on what these two things can do: faith and God's power. In my world, my higher power was always there. I knew it, got embarrassed in me, ran from it, and then turned to it in desperation. I'd like to tell people, oh, you know, I had a moral moment to where I wanted to just decide I wanted a better Chris, and I was going to do things different. That's a bunch of bullshit. I had to get desperate, and the doors all had to close except two, pretty much in my mind, before I became willing to try something else. One door was probable early death, and the other door was trying something different than I tried. It was not a moral decision on my part that I wanted to get better. That's sad, but it's true. That's how addiction functions in me and my brain. Saying that, coming through it, doing the recovery work, doing this, you know, the step work for me, I'm a 12-step guy. Now I understand a whole lot more about that whole process, and I am so glad that I got desperate enough to where I didn't have any other doors to go through. Because I believe that's what it took for me. I believe my God, my higher power made it desperate like that for me because it knew me better than me and knew it was the only way that I would listen or try something different. I had to become scared and desperate. It's weird how that leads to the life that I lead today, which I'm grateful for. So anyway, I'm starting to ramble. I appreciate y'all joining. Please like, subscribe, share, do whatever it is you're drawn to do. And Lord willing, I'll be back tomorrow. Have a blessed day and stay safe. Thanks again. Bye.